everybody? BlackCanadian here, and welcome to Zero Continues podcast. I fucked up. The audio wasn't recorded for the last podcast we recorded, and we have to do this shit over again. So, I'm just going to have everybody introduce themselves, and it sucks because this time we don't get the awkward 10 seconds of silence from Iguana the first time. But anyway, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hey guys, I'm the Flying Iguana, and I was silent because I actually told them to wait for me because I was gonna go take a piss, you know?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jordan from True Friends Gaming.
And that's the sound of a motorcycle driving across my window ever so loudly.
Is Jesse here?
I am.
Okay.
Just checking. Just checking for the podcast.
You can't re-emulate the silence, Jesse. It's already been done. You can't do it again, and then it's just going to be sad the second time around.
Damn it.
It sounds so staged, like the moon landing.
So this is just going to be a chill podcast. We already talked to PlayStation 4 Pro. We already gave our thoughts on it. We had a long discussion about consoles and shit, but just today we're going to just shoot the shit, talk like friends talk to each other in real life, because that's why you guys tune into podcasts, listening to nerds talk about random shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like a better informed podcast out there.
Yeah, like is there any podcasts out there that you guys listen to?
Oh, I listen a lot to the Super Best Friends podcast. Also
Okay.
Cox and Crender, but...
Well, like
Yeah,
I mentioned, I do other, well, not in the podcast, but I also do music stuff. So some of the stuff I listen to are like bands or people that also just do like metal or other music, guitar work stuff. I listen to a lot of their podcasts.
Yeah,
So it would be the same.
fair enough. I'm kind of in the same boat, but instead of listening to music stuff, I listen to a lot of twisted, messed up podcasts like the F Plus or Lou Reed's The Internet to You.
He just watches the news.
No, that's even too messed up for me.
Nope,
Okay.
it's Cthulhu podcast. It's all about talking about how to get eyes on the inside.
It's all about Sinisha, the Dark Overlord.
I would listen to a podcast that just talk all about Lovecraftian horror. If anybody has podcasts like that, I will listen to it.
I'm sure
think
there's got to be one, right?
It would last only one podcast, though. I don't think there's that much to be said.
Not if they're a cult.
That's
There's
yeah.
plenty of Lovecraftian novels and stuff out there that people they can at least have about one season's worth of podcasts to go through.
Like,
There are many elder horrors.
Yeah, or Greek philosophy. I would listen to a podcast about that. Just people talking about the gods and
yeah,
random bullshit.
mythology is another ridiculous thing that I
Yeah.
can't get started on because I won't shut up. That and music.
And gaming.
I don't know. I don't really go on rants with gaming. I guess because everybody does it, and I don't really consider gaming one of my biggest passions like I do music, which is one of my biggest like creative outlets, which for me is really important.
How about
fair
we
enough.
talk... Well, how about I give a topic? Do you think making video games actually kills your love for playing video games?
Not really, because like as I said, for those of you guys that don't know that are listening to this podcast, I do that for a living, and
Yep.
it just makes me want to play video games more. It kills my mood for playing because the last game I worked on, which I can't talk about because it's not out yet, I don't want to play that because I've just played it so many times and made it, and it's like sort of like when you make your own music, you don't want to, because you get cringe, because it's like sort of gives you the cringiness of like hearing yourself speak, or like when you listen to your own YouTube video back, you kind of
Oh,
cringe.
I love
and
hearing
wanna-
myself talk. Are you kidding?
Well,
Yeah, me
that's
too.
that's something else entirely. I don't know. I don't like hearing myself talk because I don't think I have a lovely voice or whatever.
In all honesty, I don't, but I've gotten used to my voice to the point now where if I hear myself, it doesn't bother me, and I kind of hear myself now when I talk the way that I sound, I guess, to everyone else and in videos and stuff. So
Yeah,
I've
that's
kind
a
of,
weird
it's like
side
I've
effect.
come to grips with how I sound, and I'm used to it now. Like it no longer bothers me.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing for me. But like for the video games things, my experience with making video games is pretty much making mods, maps, and all that basic shit, never making my own. Like the closest thing to like getting like some kind of a, real game from the ground up, See, I don't think making a game where you're using the engine of someone else, I don't consider that making a game. I think making a game is all about making your own engine at the same time. You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean,
I think you're still having to make the game. You're just using someone else's engine. So I'd
That's
still
exactly
say,
the
so but
problem.
you're still making the game. You're making you're making all the characters. You're making the assets. You're making the music. You're making the story. You're making what's happening. You're making the gameplay. Yeah, I still say you're completely making a game. You just have a bunch of
thing.
It's kind of like saying making a game for a computer isn't making a game because it's on a program that already or thing that already exists.
Or
That's the
like
thing,
saying, making a YouTube video isn't actually making a video because it's being hosted on YouTube type of thing.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it's not
using
that, about
somebody
that
else-
because the medium of a video doesn't change. Like you've made the video, it's
It does depending on what software you're using to record yourself, the different mics you're using. I mean, you're
That's
buying
true.
something else that somebody made and
for like
create-
shots for stuff like
Like
that.
I guess
yeah.
you could go and make your own microphone from scratch. And
Well, it's the same thing with like movie directors when they watch like movies where they have like special effects and the guy knows how to make those special effects, so he can see through these special effects really easily.
Well,
And that's like for example, if you played like Fallout 3, for example, or like Skyrim, and then like maybe Fallout 4, you notice almost immediately, like if you've spent like a big amount of hours in Skyrim like I did, you immediately notice that the game feels really similar, and that's because they have exactly the same engine with like minimal.
well, that's because it's
like,
the same
change.
everything. That's like playing Mario 1 and 2 and being like, these games are kind of similar.
Yeah, but like when you play like
Well-
Half-Life, for example, Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, you can immediately sense like a better, what do you call it? Just a better, just have a better experience overall since they changed
But think of the 4,000 games that use the Unreal development stuff. I don't play those and be like, oh, it's Gears of War.
You can feel it though. There is a lot of
Similarities.
There'll be
Yeah,
maybe
there's a lot of
similarities in terms of like
similarities with-
lighting dynamics and stuff like that, but overall,
exactly
the story
just
and
falling, just like all the
like the Elder Scrolls and Fallout game. I mean, obviously they're going to be the same thing. It's the same art style, the same design, the same team.
Well, the
The
art
same
style
5 voice actors. It's
let's get on to another topic, shall we?
man, I can't believe
good
that whole
topic, though.
conversation got cut out.
Yeah, I can't believe I accidentally not recorded that whole conversation. Holy shit! But is Jesse even here? Because he's been silent for like the better.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, he's just been
Yeah, no.
absorbing it.
I was, because I can't really say anything on the whole technical aspect of everything. What I got from that whole conversation, what it brought up for me is the fact that the gaming industry is kind of heading into that weird area where the movie industry hit like maybe 10 years back, and where everything's kind of almost already been done. So it's like you're running into where the point where a lot of games are starting to look alike and feel alike and things like that. And it's only because there are so many limited horror tropes in video games, and really that's why I think, these indie games that are coming out and stuff are really spicing everything up and making it fresh again, which is great.
Well, it's kind of like the idea of indie films. Like Hollywood's not going to take a gamble on something like a brand new idea that's never been done.
Like The Lobster, that was a phenomenal film, but like I can see that 80% of like if they were to release that as a huge theatrical release and everything, that would not play well with with most audience, because like I understand the fact that like there is like an audience for that.
It's like when Minecraft came out. If they didn't have any sales on it and they just went straight to Microsoft and like, hey, we'd like to sell you this game, then look at it and be like, no. And I'm not even talking about like the broken original. Like if they had modern day Minecraft right now, that was like that's what they created and they brought it to them, like, hey, here's this game. Do you want to buy it? They might look at it. They might even take the time to actually glance at it, but they probably aren't going to accept it. Like if none of those other Minecraft clones existed.
Yeah.
But So yeah, it's just one of those things like you were saying. More just I guess to help agree with you, Jesse. There's going to be a lot of similarities because people don't want to take that risk anymore, and that's where indie companies get to shine because they're not waiting for people to give them the money to make this. They're working with what they have, and they're just where people that make games both have the aspiration to make a game that they would love. But the people that work for the big companies make more money out of it, but they don't necessarily get to put into it what they want. Where the indie people, they're putting their own money into it, and they kind of have that free, but at the same time, they might not make anything out of it.
Or you have a case where someone like puts the time and the budget and everything into it, such as Shadow of the Colossus. People love it, but it doesn't do gangbusters, so that's why it takes almost 16 years to make what is The Last Guardian. And
Shadow of the Colossus, I got opening week. I loved that game.
Yeah, that game was amazing.
Yeah, that game. I can spend like an hour talking about like how the boss designs and the fact that it's just open world, just like you go find the boss, kill him. Like there's no objectives or anything that you can really do. You can just absorb your surroundings and the environment and everything.
Well, another thing I loved about it at that time, I always used to think, what if there was a game that was basically just boss fights and that was it? And obviously I was a lot younger then, so there probably was. I just wasn't aware. But I was like, what if it was just boss fights and stuff? I was thinking in my head stuff like Dr. Robotnik from the old Sonic the Hedgehog games or stuff. But then so Shadow of the Colossus came out, and that was amazing. It was like the coolest thing in terms of that idea that I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, technically you can say Mega Man had only bosses, really. There was nothing.
No, you had to fight through the levels.
I mean, I didn't have to fight. I bullshitted. I passed the enemies and just...
But I'm talking about strictly just bosses.
Yeah.
I remember when WoW tried that phase, when they like tried to get only bosses. It was a bit more efficient, but wasn't much fun. Like in Shadow of the Colossus, they actually made a journey, for getting to the bosses, which
it's good for a single player experience.
It is good for a single, but like it's not a grindable thing. Like
yeah, exactly.
Which is really nice.
I don't know. I like grinding. What do you guys feel about like grinding in video games?
Major turnoff for me.
It depends. When I'm grinding something, if it has a consequent value, like, I don't know, making me richer than others or like making me stronger than others, then hell yeah, I love grinding.
But see, that's another thing that's different. Iguana is always very competitive with stuff. And also, you said you didn't really get into games till later, right? Like, I did a lot of stuff with... I mean, obviously, there was still some grinding in older games, but I did a lot of stuff with, like, platform games back on the Genesis or whatever. So a lot of my stuff was just, you jump in the game, and you play through it, and you enjoy it. You listen to the cool music, and you just try and do all the cool stuff, and then once you're done, you play another game. So the idea of grinding to me was a whole new, oh, no, I'm stuck in this game longer at the same spot and not progressing. Yeah. I mean, level-wise I am, but I don't feel like I'm physically progressing.
It just depends on what games you came around first, because I started with Chrono Trigger and Earthbound, which are RPGs heavily revolved around grinding and stuff. And like you learned to love it, sort of. Yeah.
I mean, the only single-player game that I grinded in was in Skyrim, while making all those freaking daggers, because I really wanted some item. And it was in Pokemon, because technically that's grinding.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're sticking in one area and training your Pokemon, I just kind of ran through Pokemon.
Yeah, that's how I go.
Even in like Blue, like the first version.
Yeah, no, those are the ones I played.
Did you actually get enough XP to get that? Because I had like
you can win with just Blastoise. You're fine.
Oh yeah, but there was the fun in that. I was like trying to get the Ash.
I was like, oh, this is fun. I was still catching anything I could, but I wasn't stopping to see what was where. I just wanted to play the game.
I don't know. It depends because like Pokemon has like a very broken system of like if you just focus on one Pokemon, you can like fucking destroy the whole game because all the experience is going towards that one Pokemon. If you choose a balanced Pokemon like Blastoise, which can take out the first gym and no problem because it's rock, and then like fire, no problem.
Leaf is a joke in the game, of course, so no problem.
So if you pick not Bulbasaur, Squirtle, through the game, and then you can fucking easy.
No
right
Charizard,
But
really.
you could probably do it with any of the starter. Squirtle was just always my favorite.
Venusaur doesn't have any strong attacks. That's the problem. Like Razor Leaf is only 35 power, if I remember. Well,
Charmander is good to have through like the first part because it's grass, but then Rock you like get this
What?
hold of like. Well, it's mostly bug and grass. You don't fight the grass gym first one. It's the
Oh
rock
no, I
one first.
thought you were saying that Charmander was grass type.
No, he's not grass
No.
type. No.
No, I know. I mean,
but even with Charmander, it should be easy because like your fire is special attack.
not
and
against
most-
Misty because water is overpowered and.
Oh, you can skip Misty. That's the thing.
No, you need
Like,
all badges to beat the game.
Yeah. But you can skip Misty, get to the electrical gym, and by
There's
then
like
you're like
progressional
pretty pumped.
halts through the
Yeah, but you
story. There's
don't-
literally a guy standing there like, "Hey, you don't have this badge? Well, fuck off." That's
Yeah.
the one thing I hate about Pokemon.
What?
Is like you have.
No. The only barrier that she offered was like she had cut basically the gym badge for cut.
all I know is as a kid when I played through it, anytime I saw the word gym, that was the next gym I took out. I wasn't like, oh, I'll strategically play that. I didn't know. I never played the game.
you-
There wasn't YouTube. No, I'm talking about when I was a kid when it came out.
Have you guys played Reborn, by the way? Because they completely go over that mechanic by forcing your... basically, once you get to like level 35, if you don't have the badge, all your Pokemon just disobeyed you. They just go...
That's
Like,
been in Pokemon since I want to say
Yeah.
Gen. Like,
no, but it's not tradable. All the Pokemon you actually catch are like that. So basically, you're forced to have a balanced team for each gym leader.
I mean, that's good for
Just
if
get
you're a
XP shit.
Pokemon YouTuber or you play Pokemon a lot. I don't care.
It's a really hard game. You should try it out. It's actually really rewarding.
I don't know. Sounds pretty grind heavy.
No, it kind of is. I can't deny that. I mean, of course, if you use the cheat engine, of course, then you're set for life.
Well, screw that.
Yeah, then there's no point in playing the game.
Yeah.
The only cheat codes
I
you
don't know,
get are stuff
sometimes
like
it's
big
like
head
some
mode or
bullshit.
paintball mode or wacky stuff like that.
And I mean,
no, for me, it's
we all
like-
remember the Contra code.
Yeah, up, down, left, right, BA.
Because that game
Select
is fucking
start.
ridiculously
Then
hard.
start.
well, I don't know if I'm at a point where I'm like struggling to like I gotta kill stuff for like 10 hours. Like I remember the last time I ever really grinded something was like grinding dragon scales in Dark Souls 1 to like upgrade to some dragon weapons, and basically there was like a ratio of drop that was like insanely low. So
I don't know. This
I didn't cheat it there, but I remember that would be a pretty good moment to use that cheat engine.
So what were you guys' first consoles?
For me, it was a PS3, so that's pretty sad.
But you played like PC prior, right?
Yeah, only PC.
Yeah.
That's why I played only STRs.
Because that's why I used to play. Like I
Just-
said, when I was a kid, I played like Duke Nukem and Warcraft on PC, but I was mainly.
I didn't even have Duke Nukem. I completely missed Duke Nukem because I had an Apple. It was back then when the Apple actually.
Oh, the old
yeah.
Macintosh.
Which
Yeah.
one? The,
Couldn't play
the
anything.
colored ones. So like, that sounded wrong. The multicolored.
The colored ones. It was when they were still made of cheap
Uh-oh,
plastic
triggered.
that went yellow with time.
Though I mentioned
I
this
know
in
what
the
you're
other
talking
podcast.
about.
I want them to bring back the multiple color Macs, the MacBooks and stuff like that. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
It's so stupid, their marketing campaign. They were actually better for gaming, but they were like, no, we want to make serious business money.
Just get one of those
Which-
laptop stickers and slap it on the back of your laptop. You're good.
Yeah, put a banana too, just for good luck.
My first console ever was a Atari 20.
Yeah.
Starting
Wait.
off old school.
Wait, do handhelds count as a...
Handhelds are con.
Okay, then Game Boy for me was then.
If we're gonna go by that, then I would have to say one of my first consoles was the Tiger Electronics. I don't remember the exact game, but those were technically handheld
that can
consoles.
count.
I remember taking those apart all the time just to fuck with them.
Wait, are you talking about those little things that like you press on the water bubble and then the freaking hook?
No,
like-
come on. a little bit more than that.
I love
They
how I
were-
do know what he's talking about.
Are you
though.
talking
I
about
do,
the
of
football
course.
one? The like where you?
Yeah,
It can be
there was like the
anything, really.
football one. There was a
I had a.
There was a bunch of them. There was a
Jurassic Park one.
Yep, there was a Double Dragon one. There was all types of different ones, and they were just little LED screens with a couple, buttons, and it was a little video game.
He's rocking the Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Technically, my first, if you're talking about handhelds, the Game & Watch was the first one because as a parent, like not knowing what video game is, they get a Game & Watch, gave it to me, and I was like, this is fucking bullshit. But the first legitimate console I bought was the PlayStation 2. It was my own money.
See, I was lucky that, like I said, Genesis was my console. We also had an Atari 2600, but I never really played it. And then my babysitter had a NES and a SNES. So I'd go over there, and that's how I learned all the stuff like, that would be why I didn't play many RPGs or games that required grinding either. Wasn't really as big of a market for it on the Sega. Whereas Nintendo had everything.
Secret of Mana was there.
Was Secret of Mana on Sega?
I believe so. I need to fact check, though, before 100 people.
Because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I played that on the NES.
Let me see. Secret of Mana.
Or Snap, yeah. And then that's where I learned a lot of games like Double Dragon and Castlevania and Mario, of course. All those was at my babysitter's. And I played games like Sonic the Hedgehog and the Jurassic Park game, all the old Disney game, all that stuff at my house. It was great. So that's
it was on the Sega Genesis.
The Lion King one.
Mm-hmm.
The Aladdin one.
Oh, hold on.
Did anyone here play like Master of Orion first? The first Master of Orion and like Space Invaders, or?
No, that's a little bit too. That's even past my knowledge of what
the original Space Invaders?
No, it was like my modified version, but it was like clone probably. I don't remember the name.
I was gonna say I really like Space Invaders.
Space Invaders.
I
had it.
Namco collection of like their little Dig Dug, Galactica, and all those
is that the one that also has like Bosconia or whatever it was on it?
Yeah, it was
and
like
Galaxia was like the. Because I have that actually.
It was like
Miss
Space
Pac-Man.
Invader ripoff or like. But the first console that I had in the house was a SNES. But one I'm proud of that I bought with my own money was a PS2.
Fair enough.
And
I
it was like
remember
the best
playing that
console ever. It's like you can't even argue it's the best. No, GameCube is the best console ever.
I got my PS2 from my grandpa or my uncle, and the way it was a Christmas present, and I unwrapped this colossal gift, and when I opened it, it was a freaking vacuum cleaner box. So I opened it, I was like, oh, I got a vacuum, and I opened it, and there's a PS2 and a bunch of games in there.
Well, at least it was
That's
the reverse thing for like, instead like with me, it was like, oh, here goes this Nintendo 64 box. What's inside? Socks. Fuck off. The Nintendo 64 went to my older cousin. Fuck off.
That's weak.
I hate that.
That is mean.
It's the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
N64 is still probably my favorite Nintendo console. I like the GameCube and SNES, but I think N64 is my favorite.
I can see that attraction with the cartridges.
I did like the cartridge.
Just jamming it in there.
It's honestly the best. Honestly, it's
I
the
also
best
like
feeling.
the old, like the X-Wing style controller. Completely impractical, but I loved it.
Yeah. I didn't like having to hold it weird. Like, I want to hold, like, I don't want to, like, it was just weird holding the N64 controller.
Well, you just jam the middle into your anus and then hold the rest of it like an actual controller and you can play.
That sounds uncomfortable yet arousing at the same time. I got to get that checked.
Does it vibrate?
I was gonna say he has to put in a rumble pack.
Oh, God. Support the Rumble Pack for your anus.
Comes Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, God. I hope not. I was tricked into buying that game because the cartridge was a different color. I was like, oh, this looks fun. It's a different color. And then I was like, this is the worst.
I actually really like Donkey Kong 64.
I don't. It's weird. It's a change. It's a weird change up from country, and not in a good way. Like it, because not everything transforms to 3D platform well, and it's
Like Sonic.
And it's odd because wasn't that made by Rare? Which
Sonic can be well made, in my opinion. Like on a CD.
I mean,
Just
I guess
make the
it
spaces
can be.
10 times. You gotta make the spaces 10 times larger. That's the thing.
Well, here's
Because
the
it's
other
way
thing.
too compact.
Give them time and money to make the games. Don't just be like, make it and then we'll sell it.
That's a given.
Like Sonic 06, it could have been good.
If only they spent more time on just designing better tracks than
Sonic Heroes
actually
was
making
fun.
them.
That was a 3D game when a 3D I enjoyed. But for
I
the
don't
most
know.
part, I'm all about the classics, but also, nostalgia kicks in. That Sonic the Hedgehog 1 was my first video game.
I like the
All right.
music.
But yeah, the music's fantastic. I
Yeah, I
got a
will
few.
always like defend Sonic over certain Mario games because the music is better.
Bum 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 bum
Like
bum.
Mario music is more iconic, but like Sonic's music has always been better, just by the variety and like
Yeah, and I
can
love
only
Mario music too. I loved
Yeah.
Nintendo and Sega back then, but definitely more of a love for Sonic than Mario.
And I mean, besides, Mario never had a pinball game.
It probably has.
He
You just
probably
haven't heard
had.
of it.
He probably
Actually,
had.
Yeah,
I
he had a pinball
believe.
machine.
He
I
had
believe-
everything. It was incredible.
Yeah, I believe you can. Wasn't it? What was it that you can do in Mario Paint? Couldn't you make a game in Mario Paint?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? There was a Super Nintendo game, Mario Paint, that actually came with a mouse that you used.
I remember Mario Paint, but I don't remember making games in it. But then again, I was at my babysitter's. I saw that as well. So
Mario
could be
Paint
making
seems
that
such
up.
like someone got the license to Mario and just like, hey, what shit can we do with that? Like that dumb Zelda CDI game that like had nothing to do with Zelda whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what they did. They got the license.
excuse me, princess, but I think it was pretty fantastic.
It was weird.
No, it was terrible.
It was terrible in almost a good way that I can be down with, but not. It wasn't that good.
No, what was their most terrible, but so terrible that I can be down with type of thing was the Virtual Boy.
I thought you were going to say the Power Glove.
No, I like the Power Glove.
What
I did too.
function
Power Glove
does the
looked cool as
Power
heck.
Glove like I can
It
never.
made
You look awesome.
you
Like in
look
Fallout
awesome,
2,
and it
or-
made your games impossible to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it added that challenge.
You go watch The Wizard.
Dude, that is one of my favorite movies of all
It's a
time.
really good movie.
Jesus Christ. You guys sound like, yeah, boot camp was fantastic. We got yelled at by the sergeant. It was great.
Hey man, the '90s was
I
the best
mean,
time.
you're all old reality.
I remember suffering with like Warcraft 1. I don't know why, but even as a kid, I was like, why can't I select more than 4 freaking fucking units? And why do I have to press on go and then on the map when you can easily just right-click it? I remember like those design flaws just infuriated
You
me.
just have to enjoy.
I
what
wouldn't
you
really call
got.
it a design flaw as much as the mechanics that existed at that time.
It was just the first. No, but the worst thing is that I hadn't played any other game before that except like maybe Myth, Master of Orion. Still old games, you know. It's like I still had that Apple old computer.
RuneScape.
No, I couldn't run RuneScape. That computer could not run RuneScape. Believe me.
Holy shit! What
Man,
computer
they
did you have that
changed
you couldn't run
RuneScape.
RuneScape?
So much. It's ridiculous.
It was
Like the version of RuneScape now that's referred to as like RuneScape, I think it's old school or something, isn't even the original RuneScape that I played. Because before, I think old school is the current one, but before that, I guess there's now RuneScape Classic, and that's the one I played. So whenever I saw that they made RuneScape old school and it wasn't RuneScape, I was really thrown off. I just was like
it
RuneScape.
was a Macintosh Classic.
Huh.
What mind boggles me is that there's RuneScape only channels. I could not do that.
RuneScape, I guess, is
Have you
become-
played the old RuneScape? The old RuneScape is way better than the
So I was just talking about. I'm
RuneScape.
talking about the oldest RuneScape.
Yeah, it was really good.
It used to have
it
a
was
sleeping mechanic.
it was a chaotic mess that like it was so good. It was,
And the
it
only
was back in
animation
the
was
time
like
when they were
kind of punching.
experimenting like incredibly well.
I don't know. I could never get into it. It was like this threshold that I could never like get really to.
Like I remember in that game, half of the people who made money in that game was just swindling money. They weren't even like increasing skills. They were just
like-
swindling money left and right.
That's what
Just
I like
scamming
about
the shit out of people.
That's what I like about
Because
games
nobody
like
really buys-
RuneScape and
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, just MMOs in general, because like how the scummiest of people come from those
Well-
communities of like scamming people, trying to like making real money in real life,
Yeah.
like, selling rare items.
But
like,
that's
that's what I love about
When did you
That's the beauty of
play
it, like-
RuneScape? Yeah,
Sorry?
2006, and then for a year, and then I stopped.
Okay. Yeah, that's like the only MMO I ever kind of got into. Because again, it goes back to the grinding thing. I think that's probably because I didn't fight. I went around and like I cooked crap and
Oh yeah,
I
you
cut
just
down
talk to
trees.
people.
Or
To
just
be
play
honest.
around and have fun.
I remember my brother was really into like cutting logs for some reason in the game.
I was
Just
too,
did that.
strangely enough. You could just cut down a bunch of trees and then burn them, and I could
Yeah.
just go around town and light fires everywhere.
It
It
was
didn't
like
do anything.
people who spent just time just killing chickens all day. That's their whole life, killing chickens.
I
Well, you could
mean,
get eggs to make a cake. I was a chef.
No, it's to
Yeah,
get the
let's go
bones
back.
and to like get better prayer level.
what you said sounds like a whole lot of like Minecraft.
Well, it's not about that. It's more about like pretending that you're a banker, and you go in the bank, you pretend that you're an NPC banker, and then someone just deposits all their money in your in your inventory. You just run away with it. The thing is that the great thing about RuneScape back then is that there wasn't a global auction house, which means that your price could have been as low as it could have been like super high because nobody knew the actual value of stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
you could
until
smith a bunch
mods
of
were
bronze
implemented.
armor and go there and be like, "Hey, $50,000 for the set."
Yeah, it was so
50,000 sold.
stupid and it was so good because like, okay, at a certain point, yeah, okay, people got it kind of like, they got mods, they got like reference sites for like prices and everything. But at first it was so magnificent because you found a new item in the game and everybody was rushing towards you. It was like, what's the new item in the game? And they just poured you with money until they gave it to
I
them.
remember there was a fan site that was made called Rune Village, and I thought it was like one of the coolest things because it was a site I could open, and it had the full map of RuneScape on it.
That sounds like. Speaking of that, what about browser games? Have you guys played like any browser games before?
No. Well, I
Yeah.
played,
Life, yeah, I played Neopets when I was little. Played, I guess RuneScape was technically a browser game. I don't know if it is anymore.
it's
I,
not anymore, but
That's dumb.
I for a little while got into Congregate. I don't know if you ever been there, but it's a Flash site, Flash game site. But I like it. They.
I do remember that actually. It was like Miniclip and all those old sites.
Yeah, but it was like Miniclip, but it felt less cheap.
And what was there was another one, and I can't remember what it was. There was.
I remember playing this game called Motherload, if you guys played it.
I loved Motherload, where you have to
was
dig down
great.
into the ground and get all the
Yeah,
minerals.
yeah, and you had to upgrade your like little
Drill?
digger. It was so cool. And like it was so exciting just finding a new ore, and you're like, oh my god, what is this ore?
That
I
was
remember.
And this is gonna
that
make
was
me
a
a millionaire.
that was a rewarding game.
Yeah, it was. And like it kept on going too. I remember. I like there's like an app version on the store for free.
Is there?
Yeah, but it just goes on for like it's really, I don't know if it's shorter. Or if
Still
I'm
has the
just
final boss
imagining
and stuff,
something.
right? Like the original did.
I don't know. I never got to the final bosses.
Okay.
I remember I had only like 1 hour of gaming time back then, like on the weekends.
That was another thing I hated about when I played RuneScape. I had dial-up internet.
Oh,
So anybody in my house has to make a phone call. I'd have to turn it off so they could make a phone call. Then I'd take another 10 minutes of getting everything set up on the internet. Then I'd take the 30 minutes to load the page, and then I'd start playing RuneScape again.
Here's what you do: you hide. If there's a cordless phone, you hide it so they wouldn't be able to make any phone calls.
You can't because the phone receiver had a beeper on it where if you pushed it, the other phone
Oh
would
yeah, I
start beeping.
remember that.
oh, you just take out the batteries out.
Huh. I don't know. As a kid, I probably wouldn't have thought of that.
You got to be I couldn't even come up with words. You got to be devious in order.
Oh,
to
when
get
I was a
past-
kid, I was ruthless when it came to like it was like around I'm sorry for the motorcycle. When I was like 16 years old, I remember having this big Wi-Fi war. Basically, my parents had kept the Wi-Fi net box into a closet. And so I had to pick the lock. So I got really good at picking locks.
all that Skyrim
Just
experience
turn on
comes
the
in handy.
Wi-Fi. Yeah. And then they got to the point where they just changed the lock with something that it was impossible to pick because the lock was like too hard, for the pin to like turn without breaking the pin.
Yeah, unless I got to a
And,
point because of a cousin. I have like a younger cousin that always locked himself in the bathroom. I got pretty alright at using like a drawing pen and picking locks with that, like a bathroom lock. Actual
Oh, no,
picking
I-
lock. I learned
I
that
used,
with a
like-
lock pick from like my best friend. His dad had a buddy who was in the hospital for a while, so he spent the whole time he was there just making lock picks for fun. Because I guess that's what he did. He did stuff with locks and all this other crap. I guess a locksmith.
Or a criminal.
It's actually pretty interesting how to do it. You gotta like press the right pins to like bring the mechanism down. It's really interesting.
Well, this friend of a family friend, I'll tell you more about him when we're not recording. But no, I don't think he's a criminal.
He owns a white van.
No, he has acquired some strange skills that
Like, hey,
he has
you
a
wanna
particular set of skills.
You want to know how to make a bomb out of a battery and a box of toothpicks? Like, no, you weird.
That reminds me of like one of my all-time favorite King of the Hill quotes, which is Dell telling Hank, "I can teach you how to make an explosive using nothing but a roll of toilet paper and a stick of dynamite."
That was a great quote. No, my favorite quote is pocket sand, of course. I don't know. It's one of those skills. Like when I was a kid, I was I kind of wanted to be like the video game characters, you know. Mm-hmm. And Garfield. That was a terrible like moment in my life.
I don't know. When I was
relate
younger, I wanted
Garfield.
to be anime. I just wanted to I wanted to be an anime. You don't understand. I want to.
See, when I was a kid, I didn't understand it as anime versus cartoon. I just thought they were all cartoons. Like it was whatever I watched on Toonami or WB, whatever it was called back then.
See, I saw the difference in culture. I saw the difference in like drawing. I knew it was different somehow, but
Yeah, for me, it was like, oh, this just must be what Toonami's looks like, and that was it. Like that was my thought process. This must all be made by Toonami, different group.
I don't know. Sailor Moon did a good job at masking it with the dub and everything back in the day.
I've
So
never
when you're a
seen-
kid, you kind of like, oh, she's just a girl who wears a sailor uniform for some reason. That's not weird, and you didn't really pay too close attention and stuff like that. Dragon Ball came out, you can just assume like, oh, they're just karate dudes. So it's
Yeah,
not
that's pretty much exactly what it was too.
Yeah.
And then they did Super Saiyan. I was like, oh man, just like Sonic 3. And then I realized, that's where
God.
Sonic got the idea.
Oh God, that's.
That was really my thought, because like I said,
to your mind.
because he'd go supersonic and he'd turn gold and his spikes would, like his quills would stand up in the second and third Sonic the Hedgehog games. So then I saw Goku do that at the end of one of the later intros, and I was like, oh, he did the Sonic thing. And then I would talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, Sonic got the idea from Dragon Ball Z. It's like, oh, no way. It was Dragon Ball Z stole it from Sonic. And then I realized, oh no, I'm just an idiot.
I love that type of thing. I'm actually slowly and quietly ruining my daughter's music taste by showing her all of Weird Al's hits as the originals.
Oh, don't do that.
If anything, you're going to make her like them more, and then she'll hear the original and think they suck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's horrible. That's like you're going to raise a hipster that's going to be a Weird Al
Yeah.
hipster that's like, oh, Weird Al did it better. Like,
This isn't Eat It. Who's saying this one?
a better musician. But Weird Al is clever, but like, yeah, you kind of want to.
I don't know how Weird Al survives in the media we have today.
No, oh, wait. I got a good topic of conversation.
well,
if you had a daughter, what kind of music would you make her listen?
Okay,
Whatever she
pause.
liked.
Pause on that. First off, I actually heard an interview with Weird Al, and he has wanted to retire for a very, very, very long time. But when he first signed his contract, it was a 12-record deal contract, and he is finally either the last one he did or his next one is his final one, and he can finally retire. So that's how he's surviving.
That fucking 12 albums. Well,
But even the idea that people still like actively look for Weird Al and buy Weird Al stuff, like you can show Weird Al to a group of kids and half of them will know who he is.
Yeah.
But then there's 400,000 YouTube channels that do quote parody music, and some of them are legitimately good. Some of them are people doing quote parody music.
Yeah, Rucka's pretty good.
But Weird Al is still the one that's known. Like he's still the top dog.
Because when you start, it's hard because like Weird Al never sucked. It's hard to explain. It's like once musicians start to suck, I hate to use that term because they're still talented musicians, but like once they start to degrade in quality, then you sort of like not like buy into their albums, they sort of like fade away. But Weird Al never had like a low point of like, you probably preferred more of his albums than others, but he never really had a low point. So
You know what it?
so he
You
never
mean like
really had a
Smash
chance
Mouth?
to fall.
You know what it is
I
really
want to
with.
forget about Smash Mouth.
Hey, Smash Mouth
right.
has one really, really good song.
Somebody
I don't understand.
once told
Yeah?
me.
See, okay, this is so weird, but like when I was playing on my old World of Warcraft server and we were talking about Smash Mouth, the guy like from America had exactly the same reaction as you guys. What gives? What did Smash Mouth did to you guys?
That was the only song that they played on the radios, and like
Yeah.
Smash Mouth was just that one song. They were a one-hit wonder in the United States.
You would
Okay.
literally only hear this somebody, and then people.
And then the whole room starts singing along.
And then I oddly think of Shrek.
Well, Shrek didn't come along till later, but
And then,
yeah, that
and then
helped.
oddly enough, Counting Crows, because they did that other song that Shrek played, I was like, fuck, bunch of irrelevant bands coming back into my mind. All thanks to Shrek.
Fucking Shrek.
Okay.
But yeah, Smash Mouth is like very like one hit wonder. Like you can say that like 1999 to 2002 was like the era of one hit wonders. Like what was that? Eiffel.
I was gonna say
Eiffel
Dabba Dee Dabba
65.
Die. Yep.
Yep.
I'm blue.
I'm saying Britney Spears is a one hit wonder because she only had one song that I honestly remember.
I
and
wouldn't say that,
And
though.
she barely hangs on to relevance by doing other stuff that doesn't involve music. So
Her new
music
album
wise,
was really successful.
It was. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah,
care to listen.
she's back. I mean, I don't like her or anything.
Britney's
but-
back, bitch.
yeah, right.
You know who
No,
never
but
went away
she-
though? Well, I guess they had a hiatus, but Backstreet Boys.
No.
There was one point where one of their members, Kevin, temporarily quit, but he's back, and all 5 Backstreet Boys are still rocking out.
Oh, boy band should have died after NSYNC left.
Really? I think they should have died after New Kids.
No, I mean there was like because boy bands will like revive itself every 10 years for some reason. It was
Oh,
like
God.
New Kids, then it was like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, then like later on it became Big Time Rush and
Hey, don't forget 98
One
Degrees.
Direction. Fuck 98
Jinx.
Degrees.
98 Degrees came out with Backstreet and NSYNC. They're a little bit later, but they're still around that time.
Yeah.
I actually like NSYNC. I'm going to stand by this statement. It's like I actually bought in.
I was a Backstreet Boys fan.
Oh, we're going to have a war about this later.
See,
We will.
It's
Actually, like
Justin
both
Timberlake.
Backstreet Boys.
Justin Timberlake is like his character is just so like okay, I can get behind this guy.
Man, I didn't even like Kirkland. He was the guy that played Chip Skylark in Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh,
I forgot to record this whole session. Fuck. I can keep this as evidence against you guys.
There's nothing to keep evidence against. Watch any
I'm
video on
recording
my
the
channel and
podcast
you'll
right
see.
now. This is going to be
Right.
up for.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can watch me talk for 20 minutes about Backstreet Boys. I'll tell you all their names right now.
wow.
And
See,
then-
every time you guys talk about like New Kids, I keep on thinking about the Dutch TV show New Kids on the Block.
Oh,
Well, fair enough.
Did you
I've
guys
never
see
heard
it?
of that. No,
Oh, you should check it out.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not aware of most foreign cartoons.
It's not a cartoon.
Or TV
is
show.
it an anime? Oh,
No,
European
it's
The
not.
only foreign TV show I know of is the Robin Sparkle Show.
It's this basically.
I want to talk
So
about How I
dumb.
Met Your Mother for a second. No,
yeah.
Do you guys actually like that show?
I love How I Met Your Mother.
I'm in
it
this
all.
awkward
Too
place
generic.
of loving it to hating it to like. I didn't like the later seasons, like season.
Yeah.
The last 2
7.
seasons were kind of but I still really liked them.
Yeah.
Like they didn't keep up with the previous.
Yeah.
It's just too generic for me.
It's kind of the opposite of Scrubs. Scrubs, the last 2 seasons were shitty as hell.
Yeah, they were.
I just skipped them. I
like
I
the
saw a whole new setting. Nope, I'm not watching it.
I like to put Scrubs as I like to describe it as a corpse that was suddenly reanimated just so it can die later. Because like they brought it
Dead
back.
horse is
They-
coming back to life.
They could have perfectly ended it, and then they're like, "Nah, we're going to bring it back, and we're going to introduce these new chuckle fucks
Yep.
while getting rid of some of the older people that you actually really liked." Well, I don't know.
Well-
Scrubs was a hit and miss. I liked some of the episodes, but like most of them, like I was like, this is okay, I guess.
I mean, now
Well-
it's all about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
Eh,
It's a decent show.
Yes.
I
To
like
this day, I
really
still
like
say
it.
it's always about Boy Meets World.
it's a Boy
I
Meets
mean-
World. I remember the theme song for Boy Meets World. I even watched
Which one?
season 1 of
Two or
Girls
three?
Meet World.
I've seen some Girl Meets World. It's not the same thing.
Girl
Yes.
Meets World gets really good.
That's what people
Girl
says,
Meets
but I'm not going
Boy,
to
though.
sit there and just like watch all of Girl Meets World in one like just sit up.
No, you just gotta watch. You gotta watch the first few episodes, and then after that, it starts like they get it after that.
Yeah, but it's still not the same. It doesn't feel the same at all.
Maybe it's because I'm not like a 10-year-old child watching Boy Meets World when it came out, and like you don't relate to, especially when the main character is a teenage girl. I'm not going to relate that as a guy in his mid-20s watching Girl Meets World.
Why? I'm a guy in my mid-20s, probably easily relating to the 13-year-old girl.
Actually, believe it or not, I'm still identifying with, the old main character because I'm a dad about his age with a daughter who will be a teenager in a few years. So, like, I'm looking at it from that point.
And you're her teacher,
Yes, exactly.
and you have Eric as your brother.
Yeah, well,
You have Batman
Which, by the way,
Beyond as your brother.
all the Eric episodes in Girl Meets World are easily the best.
Yeah, because
Yes,
Eric is
I'll
the
gi- I'll
best
give you
character.
that.
He also has become a politician.
Yes.
In the,
Like,
in the,
full on.
I was about to say in the game. In the TV show, he's
Yeah, in the show, he's the mayor,
He's like the mayor.
of Saint Upid Town, which of course is the joke, is it's Stupid Town. And then it gets to the point where people start trying to cause like scandals and stuff, and he ends up
Yeah.
becoming a U.S. senator.
Trying to bribe him and shit.
That sound okay. Now I'm going to have to watch all of Girl Meets World now.
It's good. And the Sean episodes are really good too.
Sean comes
Yeah.
back. Okay.
Yeah, Sean
they all
directs a
come
lot of
back.
the episodes.
Yo, what was his name? Minkus.
Yeah, Minkus comes back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
all these characters aren't really doing anything. They're not like they can like bring anybody back. They can even probably bring back the bullies that were in.
Yep, they brought
came
them back too.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised in the least bit. Like,
But the way they bring
they
everybody
totally
back is clever. And also they keep their characters. Like
Yeah.
they're true to what Boy Meets World was, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'll give you that on that one.
bring back
But
speaking. Let's speaking of like 90s sitcoms. Like, what was your guys' like favorite like 90s sitcoms back in the day?
Boy Meets World.
Hands down, Boy Meets World.
Oh yeah, to this day you could ask me what my favorite sitcom is, and I'll say Boy Meets World.
What's your favorite episode?
I like. Ooh, that's hard. I like a lot of the later like seasons with like the college stuff because Eric Matthews really shines in those. Because the earlier season, they didn't really have quite the story down. It was just like he was the cool older brother that liked kissing girls and baseball, and then Corey was the younger brother that didn't understand why he liked kissing girls and baseball. But then
Baseball.
it was like Eric and Jack were going on all these stupid adventures with Sean and Corey, and it was great. I don't know, maybe the one where Eric is a couch, where they walk in and he's just got or the one where he gets the lucky penny and becomes stupid lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's actually fun. I kind of like the, Sean and his dad type of one.
Oh yeah.
Those ones were always like very super touching. But if I'm gonna be honest and say what mine was, I think
The Halloween special. Oh.
Well, no, I was actually I meant 90s sitcom or whatever. I think Wonder Years almost touched me more than Boy Meets World did. A little bit. Of course, I'm a little bit older, so that might that. But I don't know.
I could never get into Wonder Years because
Yeah, I never got into.
probably because it was like never really designed as a sitcom because it would have two serious moments that were like too serious as a child. I was like, man, fuck, I can't process this. I'm not.
It was
Yeah.
it was.
I was gonna say I think our age gap shows better in situations like that.
Yes. I am the old fuck. So.
I'm the
Take
old
that in
fuck.
stride.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
We're all just 20-somethings.
Yeah, I'm
You're a 30-something.
solid 30-something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be the odd one out and like say something that even people probably like like listening to this right now are going to be like, "What the fuck?" My favorite sitcom was Two of a Kind, and that's
You
because
guys keep on using words that I do not know.
okay,
Which
so it's
which
for
one do you not understand?
okay for the people that are not from North America or aren't familiar with sitcoms of the '90s. Two of a Kind was starring the Olsen twins in like their mid-teen, early teens. To,
Oh
like,
yeah, I
late
do
20s.
remember
Is
that.
that? Oh my god.
That's probably because I had a crush on them at the time, and then they became skeletons, and
Well,
then I was like,
no,
nah.
it's fine. I couldn't remember which show that was when you said it.
It
Yeah,
was
me neither.
it's very forgettable. Like I had to like the reason why I'm saying that is because I had to rewatch it like a few months ago. I was like, wow, this is like I like it, but it was like very forgettable. Especially like remember like there was 16 years ago, like the Olsen twins like had like 20 different movies with 20 with like about like
There were a lot.
adventures. Like they go to fucking under the water, they go boating or
Yep.
whatever. So, like it's
Or even the Princess Diaries type ones where they switch places.
oh yeah. Speaking
There
of
was like a
Princess
weird Parent
Diaries,
Trap type thing going on.
I like
So-
Parent Trap. I actually like Parent Trap a lot.
The old Lindsay Lohan one or the old like the old one?
Both of them. I like the Lindsay Lohan one better because it seems like a better structured story. But the
That was also a movie I watched at my babysitter's.
hey, let's just sit down and watch Parent Trap for 3 hours.
Pretty
Over
much,
and
she's
over and
like,
over.
you guys are here, we need something, so she's just doing Parent Trap.
Alright,
My
so
older
here's-
siblings threw in Mighty Ducks. Like I
Oh,
know
the
every
Ducks.
line from Mighty Ducks because like just sit there like just get 3 tapes, Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3, and just like let that like play out, and we just
There
sit
were
there.
so many unanswered questions for that show. They also had one of the coolest designed bad guys of all time in terms of cartoon.
Oh, you talk about for the
Oh,
For Mighty Ducks?
yeah. I need to rewatch that because I from the life of me can't remember what that's about. All I remember is that there were hockey players that were ducks that
Yeah.
fought crime.
Yeah, I love that cartoon.
And like I need to watch that along with like Darkwing Duck and all those.
I
other,
love
like,
that one too.
DuckTales ones. Although-
What's with the '90s and just like duck everything? DuckTales, fucking Nightwing.
Well,
Duck.
that was actually a big deal. That was whenever Animaniacs, which by the way is my favorite cartoon from the
Great
era,
show.
that era was when they presented the idea of the Animaniacs. They were originally green ducks, and it's kind of like the idea of Plucky Duck from Tiny Toon Adventures. And they were like, "Hey, here's this show," and Steven Spielberg was like, "I like where you're going with this, but ducks are way too big right now. It's too overdone. We need something different." And then they put red noses on them, and then they went to the classic like black and white color palette to try and make it like the old Looney Tunes short things. They brought in the 38-piece orchestra. I have weird trivia in terms of Animaniacs, but that was ultimately it. They do have a DVD actually explaining all that though, the interviews with all the voice actors and then the writers and the animators. I think it's fantastic personally, but I'm a nerd with that type of stuff.
I tried to get into Animaniacs, but like my main one was Freakazoid. Like the weirdness of it was just like what in
Runs around in underwear.
Freakazoid. Freakazoid cameoed in Animaniacs a couple times.
yeah, because they were like all under the Warner Brothers. Like that was like
Pretty
what I
cool.
like considered of like golden age of like cartoons for in the '90s of like there was Tiny Toons, there was Animaniacs.
I to this day say that's a brilliant age for cartoons.
Yeah,
Yeah. Muppet
Yeah,
Babies.
it was.
because it got past the
I do like
awkward
Muppet
racism of the past Looney Tunes and like transition to
Sometimes.
Well, they
sometimes,
they lampshade a lot of stuff.
this.
yeah.
Like they would.
So-
There was a detective episode of Animaniacs actually where they kept what was it? I think they were calling the nurse Dollface or something, and they're like, "What do you expect me to say? This was the '30s before women's like, talking about women's equality issues were like a big deal, regardless of the fact women got the right to vote in 1920. But that's besides the point.
Yeah, well,
They were
women,
kind of playing with that gag.
yeah. So yeah, like that, and then like cartoons went in a weird turn where like they got good, better as far as action wise, but like there was like some hit or miss. Like, does any of you guys remember the cartoon show? You probably were too old at the time when this came out, but Lunatics Unleashed.
Oh yeah, I was too old. I remember seeing the previews for it, and I was like, so it's a superhero version of the Looney Tunes? And
Yeah,
no,
and I watched the season of that because, of course, it only lasted for one season because it was garbage. But like, it was just like, what are you trying to do to me? It was fucking bonkers. But like, they had some other good, like, that was a time when DC was putting out the hits such as like Superman, Batman Beyond, Static Shock, like
was
Justice.
Lunatics Unleashed that old? I was
It
thinking
was
that came out in like 2006.
it was towards the latter end of like the DC like golden age of DC cartoons where like Justice League was ending, Static Shock was ending, and that's when the beginning of Lunatics and all the other random
God.
Shaolin Showdown and all that other stuff.
I actually really liked Shaolin Showdown, but stuff like Static Shock, those were fantastic. Static Shock, the Batman animated series, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited.
And they had crossovers. Those the Static Shock Justice League
Yeah.
crossover was the best.
Especially when they went and saw Future Static, I was like, man, he's so cool. He's like the coolest hero.
It was like holy shit. Like I can like they need to bring back Static Shock in some way or form in a movie, a cameo. I just need that because like I don't know. It was just a very good show. For those of you guys listening, just need to type in Static Shock. They have all the episodes on YouTube because you can find anything on YouTube.
That's a conversation we had earlier that I guess wouldn't be on a podcast because that footage was lost. But ultimately, he is a good example of a good black superhero.
Yeah.
Like an original black superhero. It's not somebody that's like, we changed the color palette or we got a different actor or we made... So, like, obviously there's good black heroes, but Static Shock's going to be number one.
Because his initial design choice was like design a black superhero. So it's not like, oh, he was white before, let's change him to be black because we need to appeal to the demographic. So
Yeah, here's just a different place and location. So like, we'll make him black because it matches what we're going for. And they're
and
like,
we'll set it in an urban environment. So like it did a good job at relating to both. Like as Jordan, who's obviously a white male, and me as a black male, we were both able to like relate to this character juggling school life and all that stuff with
yeah, no,
superheroes.
it's true. Well, yeah, as a kid, I didn't even think of him as a, quote, black superhero. He was just a superhero. He was like Batman.
He was a Spider-Man for DC. That's why I liked him so much because he was a relatable teen trying to juggle being a superhero.
And then
just
they
going
had
to
real
school.
issues in it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Richie, his best friend, who was white, had a racist dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, he actually wasn't in, like, the more urban areas. He lived in, like, a nicer neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And Static was always like, why don't I get to go to your house? Because it's, you always come to mine. We've never actually been to yours. I've never met your pops. And then he goes there and he's like, oh, well. And he's like, leaves the room and Richie like calls him a racist and him and Static stop talking for a while. And then they kind of resolve all that. But it's a real issue.
Yeah, and the suicide one was like really like because that came out like around when I was like 13, and like when your hormones are like that episode was impactful.
You're confused, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that like they went this far. And all of DC's cartoons did that. They did like serious moments. But like that was back in the day when like messages were like hitting you over the head, where it's like they literally had someone at the end of the episode come by and said, well, today's lesson was learned, blah blah blah. Like
And actually, even Richie, they didn't get to showcase it in the show. They had to do it in the comics because they wouldn't let them do it in the show. But Richie was like one of the first openly gay superheroes.
oh, he was? Oh, I did not know that.
In terms of that medium, yeah. But they weren't able to accent that, so he always had like a girl with him a lot in the cartoon, but he was never like dating them.
Was that in the comics back then or the New 52?
No,
Static Shock?
back then. Whenever the ones that like went alongside the show.
What the hell did you post in the chat? This is New Kids. I see a guy with a mullet and he has a mustache. And
Yeah, that's New Kids.
okay, I'm going to have to take a look at like that looks. Is it in Dutch, Deutsch, or
Yeah,
whatever?
but not much dialogue to be had, so it's pretty easy to understand.
Okay,
And if
so
it sounds like an insult, it is an insult.
all right, for those of you guys that aren't like, obviously you're listening to this. Iguana posted a link to the New Kids on the Block. It's a sketch apparently on here.
Yeah.
It looks weird. It's
Well, it's
That's
to go
exactly
back
what
with our
people needed.
New Kids on the Block talk.
Wait. I gotta talk about something. Nobody here mentioned Star Trek. Nobody really?
That's because it's not a sitcom.
It is kind of. What do you
It's
mean?
a situational comedy.
Situational
I
comedy.
mean, when they turn
the
into
Ferengi
lizard
was
people,
involved.
that was
I
kind of
mean,
funny.
well, I was say, I mean, if you look at it now, it's a situational comedy, but it's not designed to be one.
I could never get into Star Trek. There was episodes that were too campy for my taste that I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I never got into it.
Oh man.
Because I couldn't
Yes,
tell, was it
but-
taking itself seriously or was it supposed to be stupid shenanigans? Like,
It was taking itself seriously, but at the same time,
I'll be right back.
well, it depends because there's like sections where they really took themselves seriously, and other sections they were like just trying to cope with the madness, basically, which was really interesting sometimes.
like,
And okay, well, if it's not a sitcom, I'm just gonna say Frasier.
fuck, I will watch
Frasier's a
Frasier.
sitcom.
Yeah, it is.
I watched it. I don't know. It was. I think it pushed too hard at times to try and be highbrow.
Yeah,
Oh.
I did. Like sometimes it was just like absurdly.
Yeah, like they were stretching to sound that way, but obviously that's, what happens in a sitcom. But they just hit that mark too much, but I did enjoy that show. I love Cheers too, so it was good to see the spin-off, although I would have probably preferred to see maybe a Cliff Clavin spin-off or something.
Mm-hmm.
A Woody Boyd spin-off.
I don't know. I like the uptightness of Frasier as a character.
No, yeah, me too.
yeah, no,
It's what makes the game
I'm not saying that I don't think he should have gotten a spin-off. I like the character. I like the show. I don't know. I would have liked to see other spin-offs from it. That brings up a good question, though. What if you could have a spin-off of any character from any show, what spin-off would you like to see?
Where's the Carlton Banks show? Where's the show all about Carlton? Like, I could
Oh
watch
yeah,
Yes.
that
Well,
fucking Queen of Bel Air, no, King of Bel Air, no, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. There.
They could call it like the I don't know, Sweaters and Spanks or something.
Sweaters and Spanks. Oh no. Like, yeah, I would think, Carlton, like, just have him have a spinoff. But I
I
don't
could see
know.
that.
I think his character works well with Will as being the jokester type character, like bouncing off of each other. So maybe that
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't play off well. Let me see. I don't know. Like, I like the initial idea of there was going to be a How I Met Your Father idea of like telling the mother's perspective of how she met Ted. So I would be interested in seeing that
Well,
if they don't drag it on for like I would do 4 seasons of it and then that's it.
I mean,
Because if you remember that one episode with that guy that was trying to sabotage everything, like he seems like, because he comes from her storyline, so it'd be interesting to see him as a character in that like story.
well, the thing of it is, I don't know if you've seen to the very end, but it wouldn't make sense in the world.
Well, I mean, it could just be told at like a different time frame because we were not sure exactly when she died. We just know it was like around when the kids were like a teen. Well, I just spoiled How I Met Your Mother. It's a sitcom anyway.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big deal. You could just easily cut that out, though.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with the ending of How I Met Your Mother. There's an alternate ending.
I'd
For
never
people,
seen the
that,
alternate
for people
ending.
that hate it, they have an alternate ending, which it's not as much as they re-recorded different things as much as they changed the edit on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, it's the ending that people hoped for, I guess, is what it is. But
I need to we need to talk about that after the podcast because I don't know what you're talking about.
of course,
but,
yeah.
like,
Well, I don't want to spoil stuff for a 9-season series for
holding
people.
my tongue.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to cut that out, the what I just said. But yeah, How I Met Your Mother is like a series that's like I want to see the other perspective of what, but it would have to be like very condensed, like probably 3 to 4 seasons, just of that, because she seemed like a quirky character in like the in the few bits of what we saw of her. So yeah,
Mhm.
so that's a spinoff that I would like to see. But yeah, Jordan, we're just talking about possible spinoffs of sitcoms that you would probably like to see.
Fuller House from Full House.
And what would that be?
Well, they already have it now, so there's that.
Uh,
Wait, they have Fuller House?
Yeah, came out
what,
on
you
Netflix.
don't know this? You need
I
to
do
go to
not know this.
That
Netflix
was actually
right
what I was going to bring
now.
up. That came out, and I was like, oh, this is... Because, I mean, I saw it was going to be a thing, and I actually waited for it, like a lot of people. Because I liked Full House. I still like Full House.
like
I think
Full House.
it's a good... It's a good, just everybody show. But then, of course, Fuller House, they kind of... They bring up the maturity a little bit, but they still remember who their audience is. And that's kind of what they did, is they aged it with their audience. They still have a lot of their, their lamp shading and a lot of their just like acknowledgement that it is a show without acknowledging that it's a show. Because like it's got the entire original cast came back except for the Olsen twins.
Well, obviously.
And they make certain jokes about like the Olsen twins makeup department, how they're doing really successful for themselves. And it's like, oh, sounds like they must be really busy with life. And they make like a lot of jokes at their expense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could never, because here's the thing about Full House, which I'm going to say that have any of you guys seen the show Family Matters?
Yeah, I love Family Matters.
It
I love all
is
the
basic.
sitcoms.
It is basically Family Matters if you really think about it. You have the annoying next door neighbor, the kids, everybody living in one roof, like the aunts and the grandmother and everything, and then like it just felt like
That's sitcoms though.
yeah, well, it just felt like
That's-
that
yeah.
was Full House, but better because like later on, like Family Matters got like a hell of a lot. Family Matters got a hell of a lot better once they strayed away from the whole family, like family aspect, and just went on the full crazy Steve Urkel and his inventions and stuff. Like that's when it got like.
Well, it's kind of like
better.
Happy Days, whenever they're like, Richie Cunningham isn't our star. Arthur Fonzarelli is our star.
Yeah,
The second they started focusing on him, Happy Days became another fantastic sitcom. I don't know if any of you guys got into that.
Until, of course, they jumped the shark.
Yeah, wasn't there a Happy Days spinoff?
There were a lot.
There's
There's Joni and Chachi. There's
Mindy.
Mork and Mindy. And then there's another spinoff with that comes out of Alf, which is even more weird.
How?
I loved Alf.
Oh,
It gets really confusing. And then there's another spinoff show, and I can't remember what it was.
Let's just make. We can technically think
Small Wonder
everything
wasn't
is
a
connected
spinoff.
to each other.
In a weird way, it kind of is. Like even How I Met Your Mother, they've got Joey Gladstone from Full House. Whenever he's talking about Robin Sparkles, whenever they were talking about P.S. I Love You, it was him, and even did the cut it out gag.
Yep.
I want the
This
same
is-
thing that Disney did with like, all Pixar is connected. I want someone to be like, all sitcoms are connected in a way. Like, well, technically, I need that. I need someone to link me to like all this theoretical page of like where people are connecting sitcoms together.
Well, the weird thing is a lot of them do, because a lot of sitcoms like to bring in characters from other sitcoms. It's like a collab deal. So you bring in a lot of other sitcom characters from a different show, like Family Matters. They've done it before. And I don't know, any of those, like a lot of those old sitcoms did, a lot of the 90s sitcoms, even stuff like Sabrina the Teenage Witch did it. So in a weird way like that, yeah, a lot of shows kind of are connected.
Hey, this is a question to Iguana. Did any of those sitcoms ever make it overseas? Any of the
I'm
sitcoms
so
we
sorry, I
mentioned?
wasn't listening.
Oh wow!
You
Oh,
guys,
this is the.
That's messed
yeah,
up.
most of them made through because I was in Holland and we had like a lot of programs that were like converted to Dutch TV. So we had like a weird version of Comedy Central that was actually good with a lot of sitcoms.
Comedy Central used to be good.
It did used to be good, yeah, when it first started.
Yeah, because then once I actually peaked on the American side, and it was like full of ads and like reality shows. It was so weird saying the weird, I don't know. And we had Nickelodeon and this new thing. First we had like Cartoon Network, but then like it got transferred to something called Jetix. I don't know if you guys know it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But like
Jetix.
most of the stuff we got it on Comedy Central, but it was always really old sitcoms. So it was like Frasier, it was like Star Trek sometimes. It was Beck. It was
Back.
that 70s show. I liked that 70s show. It was
Well, that
pretty-
70s show isn't actually an old sitcom. That's a 2000 sitcom based in the
it's a newer.
70s.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. So
How
weird.
do you not know that when you see actors from that 70s show like play and stuff today, like Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis and shit? Like, well, they
I don't
age
remember
well for
much.
They
second.
time traveled.
Yeah.
Easy.
I don't know. I just remember it looked old. Or like, okay.
And Chung from Cheech and Chong.
Do you
I
remember?
don't, the thing is that with TV, I can never remember what episode I'm looking at. So, nowadays I just binge watch stuff. I know what I'm watching. I know what I'm. But when it was on TV, I had no freaking idea. I didn't even fucking care. Mostly because the whole TV shows were half Dutch. So, I'm not gonna spend time recording that shit in my head. All I remember was that the ginger chick was super hot. Okay, that's all I remember.
Donna.
Yeah, there.
Donna Pinciani. Well, see, going back to your concept of old channels that used to be good that became garbage and filled with ads, MTV, they did that Scream series, and
When did they do that?
their Scream, both 2 seasons of Scream series. I was pleasantly surprised. It was actually a really good series.
Are you talking about the one that currently aired last year?
Yeah.
I just saw a trailer for it and I was like, this could be like potential garbage.
Yeah,
Because
I saw it and I was like, so it's based off the old Scream, but it also kind of looks like it's a series that could work also like a murder mystery. So I'll get to try and play along and find out who the bad guy could be. And I was like, or it's going to be goofy, that old slasher style mentality, which I love, like the old Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, etc. It was kind of like the best of everything. So I was impressed. They were able to get a lot of those old references to old stuff in there, but then still make it believable. And I was impressed. I actually enjoyed it.
I don't know. Scream was too like the initial like concept of Scream back in the day was too self-aware of like because it was on this like precipice of like being aware of horror fiction, but yet like not aware enough to like because it was still tropey as hell, but yet they were obviously aware of how tropey it was, and which was odd to me about it.
And
like,
this does it in an even more bizarre way, where they're aware of all of those shows like that, which would probably include the movie Scream, and they realize what trope they would all be, so they try and avoid stuff like that. But necessarily it doesn't always work. But at the same time, the killer, I don't know, kind of indulges in the idea of trying to play along with tropes.
Wait, so is Scream not connected to the Scream movie
No,
series?
it's not even the same Scream like outfit. It's just a completely different thing. It's just called Scream. But it's like it's inspired by Scream.
Yeah, I clocked out of MTV once I saw Teen Wolf, and I was like, what the hell?
No, well, that was why I was impressed by this, because it was actually good.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead's the only other thing I watch on MTV.
And remember when music videos actually showed on MTV? That was...
I do remember that. MTV used to be cool.
Yeah, MTV
I
used to be
barely
the shit.
remember that.
They just, like, I think it was like 10 years. Like, 10 years since they actually, like, did. Because MTV used to just
No,
be
it's
straight,
been more
like,
than that.
music videos, shows about doing top 10s on music videos, and then, like, I'm not sure why. Well, probably because YouTube, and, like, you can just watch YouTube music videos on YouTube, probably. But, like,
Yeah, MTV had that weird, because it's like they transitioned. Like it was all music, and then music and shows, and then a little bit of music and a
Well-
lot of shows, then shows.
They pretty much almost from the beginning had other shows other than music.
Well, yeah, like there was even that old cartoon that's name escapes me.
is it Celebrity Deathmatch?
No, it was before that. Liquid Television.
Ren and
was-
Stimpy? No, that was on Spike.
No, that was on Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
No, you don't remember the other Ren and Stimpy? The one that was more adult rated?
The one I remember, the really adult rated one on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remember they had to like do a re-release of it on.
Oh, okay. That would make sense if they reran it on
Spike wasn't a-
syndication.
Spike wasn't even around till semi-recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
South Park was on MTV for a little while for some reason.
No. They show reruns. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Remote Control. They had a game show from the very beginning on MTV.
Talk about G4. Or,
Man, I remember Tech TV before G4.
Yep.
Yep, I really love Tech TV. Some of the stuff like Arena and Cheat and what was so many shows on there. I know Judgment Day. Here we go. I really liked Judgment Day.
I didn't get to watch much Tech TV, unfortunately. I missed all those good shows.
G4 was like the in-between like era of like the kickoff era of like Let's Plays and doing YouTube walkthroughs and all that stuff, which I really enjoyed. Like, no wonder like why I watch Let's Plays on YouTube, because like all I did was watch G4 and like they talked about games and like showcase games and did like walkthroughs of stuff like that was kind of innovative at the time.
I think 2005 for me was the best like overall year of G4. Mm-hmm. Whenever it was like they had everything. Then they had like Kevin Pereira, I think, was still doing stuff with like the cast of X-Play. I don't remember if he was hosting Attack of the Show yet or not. Mm-hmm. But it had like Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb from X-Play, obviously, and they had their weird sidekicks like Ratty and TV's Brendan Moran, and they all had all their weird characters. Like they had the guy that dressed up like the Coward Link, Kratos that just wanted to rip people in half, and just all those old characters and stuff. And that's why E305 was like one of my favorite events to watch live. And then they ruined E3 and G4.
Yeah. Now if I want to get that experience, I just like watch all of Giant Bomb's content from now on. Like it just astonished me that like that's basically what YouTube has become. Well, the part of YouTube that I watch is what is basically G4, because I'm thinking about like what does G4 show now?
Cops.
Well, G4 isn't G4 anymore.
What is it?
Yeah, no, it's not G4 anymore.
It's Esquire.
What does that even mean?
It's for distinguished gentlemen. It's not even a gaming channel anymore.
I like how that's like a complete 180. Like going for gamers, now we're going for distinguished gentlemen. Yeah, only distinguished. Does Esquire have any original TV shows or anything?
Pretty much only. I mean, I don't watch any, so I'm not really. But I remember when it was first doing the changeover, they had like this commercial for it was like a travel show where they go out with celebrities like Bradley Cooper or Aziz Ansari, you know, those douchey like Esquire guys, and go on vacation with them, all the fancy hotels and shit. I don't even know what they called it.
That sounds unappealing in all levels.
It's one of those things where I question, how did they find a bigger, more active demographic in high pristine male, like the upper class looking for fine, how that versus gamers?
You know, I think it's just super funny the way, like, when it happened, because it was it's like 1 or 2 years before the big explosion of Let's Plays onto YouTube and shit. So, like, they missed their mark by changing it over, in my opinion.
Well, they missed out. Well, they did, because like they would have lost business anyway, because most people would be watching Let's Plays and shows on.
I kind of think it would have gone the other way.
I feel like they missed their mark on making G4 have a prominent internet experience. Putting a lot of series and stuff on YouTube.
So was G4 bought out, or they just, or did they like change into something else?
Yeah, no, I think they were acquired.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that happened whenever, like, I actually think that's happened multiple times. Like, I think that's why a lot of things started changing their cast around, and a lot of people got let off and all that because of financial issues that happened.
And, like, most of them were working for, like, IGN or, like, GameSpot and stuff like that, which is ironic.
Even the guys from, like, Funhouse, most of them worked for G4.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, then I guess we can be thankful for that, because I don't think, like, internet-wise, it wouldn't be, like, successful if, like, those people weren't going over to do internet shows and stuff like that.
No, that's true, because, they weren't personalities. They were crew.
Yeah.
So, and now I feel like they probably had better personalities than some of the people that were on some of the G4 series. Speaking of Olivia Munn. Now, Olivia Munn was fine. She just all of a sudden got to a point where, I get it. She kind of got a little big head and then went off to do bigger, better things, which congrats to her, but at the same time, I don't know.
I never really like. She was just all she seemed to me like every time I saw her on Attack of the Show was like, oh, this is eye candy that doesn't really have.
Oh, 100.
Like I hate to say that, like
Well,
female
in
audience
your
would be like, oh,
defense,
you're
in your defense, there was one time where she was talking about how they were showcasing a musician, and she called him Mick Hammer, which of course that's MC Hammer.
It seems like at the time because she didn't sound like she knew what she was talking about most of the time, which made me think like, oh, she was specifically just hired on because she was hot and like to get the horny audience in there. Like,
Oh, there were definitely a lot, like in the later G4 stuff, a lot of females that were hired for that. Actually, probably even some of the earlier ones, but people like Morgan Webb, she still does stuff with gaming. Like the E3 they just had, her and Adam Stessler, both from X-Play, did the Ubisoft thing together, which I thought was awesome. Because it's great to see those two still doing random projects together. And then Kirsten Holt of Cheat, she still does gaming related stuff. That's a show that definitely wouldn't survive now. Like a show that teaches you how to do cheat codes in video games.
yeah,
Now
And
we
then,
around.
like now that would have to become a series, I guess, where she'd show how to get like achievements and stuff. It'd be Achievement Hunter.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't know how to pitch a let's play. Like I know gaming shows where you talk about video games is very brief. You talk about like new releases. Companies pay you to talk about their new releases. I can understand how marketers and business people can be like, yeah, that's profitable. But I can't see anybody pitching a let's play for television. Just be like, okay, so there's like a guy. Sometimes there might even be two guys. They get on a microphone. Sometimes there's a face cam. Other times there's not. They play a game, like, oh, only 5 minutes a game? No, to completion, like each episode, 30 minutes.
You say
like,
that, but there's a thing in Splinter Cell Chaos Theory on X-Play, and they called it co-op theatra. Because, you know, the joke of the spelling being R-E. And it was using two characters named Special Agent Bob and Secret Agent Steve, who were two of the most official and unofficial Splinter Cells. And that's just what it was. It was ultimately a Let's Play.
well, I mean, that sounds like more along the lines of Red versus Blue, sort of like parody-ish.
No,
like,
but they actually did have a whole nother series that was on Tech TV before it was G4, and that whole series was just machinimas. Not like the site machinima, but actually the same cinema machine cinema style, which they would take a video game and voice over it, and they would do all kinds of different stuff. I wish I could find that show again because I don't remember what it was called.
I hate the fact that Machinima took the name Machinima, so every time you talk about it, it sounds like you're talking about the company and not the actual thing doing a Machinima.
Well, that always happened. Like Rooster Teeth bought the, they have the channel Let's Play.
Oh yeah, I hate that even more because like oh, when you type in Let's Play, of course, well, it's good branding. It's like I kind of think that as a genius branding for like, obviously everybody's going to be talking about Let's Play, so let's.
But at the same time, you think it would affect their copyright stuff because it would make it fall into fair use.
Well, see, for the record, they coined that channel like long before it even started taking off.
Yeah, but they still took the name when Let's Plays were a thing back in 07.
Yeah, they were just bigger at doing it, so I mean...
if anything, I guess you'd have to give the name to Slow Beef, the dude on the Red Super Parade channel who coined the term Let's Play back on the Something Awful forums.
Word.
Yeah, that's all a weird scenario. Like, especially the whole Fine Bros reaction. Like, we're going to copyright any reaction. Like,
Oh yeah, but then again, they also have the channel name React.
well,
Maybe I should just make a channel called Guitar.
No, that's too like pushing it. You have to do something that's like that's sort
Music.
of niche. Like
Yeah, go stringed instrument.
Metal music.
metal.
Although all my stuff's
No,
not
metal
so
music
that
would not
wouldn't
work because then it's just you slamming some pans together.
I can slam some pans together. Don't get it twisted.
Slam the pans. That sounds dirty for some reason.
I can slam pans.
Hell yeah, it does.
I slam pans for days, man.
I don't know. Like I could. Yeah. I hate all that situation with like coining phrases and using it as copyright. Like I don't think phrases or like words being said in sequential order should be like copywritten.
Sony
See,
tried
well, that's
to
like-
copyright Let's Play, the phrase.
You can't.
Well, that's like
See, I feel like copyright laws should have a big, real, like, fuck.
Oh, the revolution, what the Wii was supposed to be
No,
called.
not revolution, like reevaluate.
It was so much cooler when it was the revolution.
Re-evaluation. For some reason, I could not pronounce that
Oh,
word.
yeah, well, even the people in charge of the copyright place are like, yeah,
It's just
a broken
completely
system.
out of control. First of all, you're sure you're going to lose the fucking license. Not that they're... Like, first of all, you're not going to stop people from using your product, even if it's, like, printed somewhere that it's yours.
The issue
You're not
is
gonna
you
do
can't
that.
just change it. That's where it's the problem. Because there's other laws in place that prevent you from just changing the laws for copyright. They made it for reasons of
I
safety.
feel like
But
it's
so that basically they screw
radical.
themselves into a corner, so they can't just change it.
Oh,
Because if they
How
do,
about
then
a dictate?
because then that brings in a whole new world of power that people can start changing other laws as well, and that's
how
where the
about a
issues
coup
happen.
d'etat? That's pretty legitimate in my eyes.
Coming from the Frenchman.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time, and let me say you. No, but seriously, it's like ridiculous. Like the fact that you anything is protected. Like the fucking Disney company owns Mickey Mouse, and for life, you know.
I mean, it's
And
their
also some
character.
Grimm stories, also, which is really stupid if you think about
It
it.
is weird to me that Disney gets to own all the rights to a lot of it.
Yeah, it's so dumb. And like honestly, a copyright should like not extend more than 5 years, in my opinion.
Well, then
5
they
years
still
is
just keep
pretty-
redoing it.
Well, characters, yes. I think they should keep the characters for as long as they want to because, they
Well, if you're not
design-
using them, you should if you're not using them, you should lose them. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean,
That's a little ridiculous.
that's like saying if you're not using your TV and someone can just walk into your house and be like, oh, you're not using it.
Well,
That might
it's
be
not a
a
bad
little-
idea, to be honest.
that's a horrible idea.
Well, you're not going to use the TV if you haven't used it for 5 freaking years.
Doesn't mean it's gonna I'm just not gonna it's up to the person who initially bought it or created it to give it away. It's not like
Like, you could apply this to, like, for example, Silent Hill, for example. Imagine if there was no Silent Hills that will be ever, like, sold, they will never release another Silent Hill game, ever.
That'd be fun.
yeah.
Would it be better if someone picked off Silent Hill off, like, the ground and just started again the franchise?
Well,
Probably not. No.
I mean, it's up to the creators to decide. Because, imagine, J.K. Rowling, she's done with doing Harry Potter.
No,
she's
no,
not
but the
doing any more
creators
Harry
don't own
Potter. And, somebody, oh, you're not using the Harry Potter license. You're not making any more Harry Potter stuff. Why don't I just take it and make more? And, that's not, up to someone else to decide on.
No,
what-
it's more like you create a Harry Potter in the universe, or just use Harry Potter. I don't really see the problem here. And you just say
Because
it's
copyright
like a Harry
laws
Potter.
were originally designed to create or to protect artists.
Yes, but when the artist is dead for centuries, freaking Disney. I keep on
Walt Disney.
thinking that Disney is not a guy. It's just a place. For some reason,
an
Disney is
idea,
dead,
concept.
right? Or he's cryogenically.
Well,
frozen
Walt Disney
until the
died.
Jews will
He
never.
was cremated, but yeah, Walt Disney is dead.
I don't know. Maybe he's cryogenically preserved or
Well, that's
something.
still dead until he's brought back to life. He's dead.
I don't
so-
know. He said, until the Jews will be off of this world.
No brain activity, dead. He's fucking dead until
Well,
otherwise.
he didn't have much brain activity before. Okay, let me just tell you that.
I
What do you mean? He
and-
created Disney.
As much
No,
of a
wasn't
racist
it? He had
asshole he was,
an army of freaking animators for that. They
He's
didn't
the
get
one
it the
that originally
treasure.
drew him.
he created.
I-
He created Mickey Mouse. What else spurred from out of his initial creation?
Look, it's easy to say that you've created something when you own the company where you own
He
basically
also,
the
whenever he,
animators.
drew the character, gave him his name and voiced him originally. Yeah, I would easily say that he
think
did in
so.
fact create. Well, you can watch the documentary of him.
There was a documentary I saw that he didn't create most of the characters that he claimed to. Well, he possessed, his company possesses, but
He
not.
made Mickey, Minnie, and the Disney company, and then his company created all the other assets he needed. But he is
Copied,
still,
by the way, on another taken from the public domain. By the way,
What?
All of them taken from the public domain. Like
Mickey
Mickey Mouse
Mouse wasn't?
was. Oh yeah, it was like a public domain character. Before that.
Now all of their
It was based, sorry, on a public domain character. I forgot which one, of course.
Was this one of those things also that Mickey's like, Walt Disney was afraid of mice, so he made a mouse character. Because why not? And that's why he made it a mouse character.
Well, it's not. Well, I don't see what.
I mean, no, that's the difference he made with your domain character. He made it a mouse.
Well, anyway, like, can you imagine how much like good fan art or like good like new games or good, like new arts or new like
But
I don't know,
as a
even
creator that is lazy, why don't you do it yourself and make something better? Like,
well, people are going to accuse you of being lazy. They're not going to be like happy about it. So if your product
This is
will
coming
not
from the
stand
same
the
person that says that
criticism.
video games aren't video games if you don't make your own processor.
What? No, not processors.
Or not processor.
Engine.
Engine, yeah. I said processor earlier and I got that stuck in my mind.
Like making your own processors, that's just stupid.
No,
Like,
yeah, that would be
that's
stupid.
not even human.
Don't ever do that.
Yeah. You're just a freaking robot who can fucking make processors.
hey, I had to make my own operating
You have to
system in
play this
college, so-
game on the Call of Duty if you want it to be original.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make robots.
Oh, what
No,
you have to buy a processing chip just to run a video game.
See, I would be fine with losing my license to my characters if like I wasn't using my characters.
But imagine someone made something shitty out of it, then you're like, oh wow, now my character's going to be known for
Well,
something
then,
shitty.
Well, the author will still lose the credit about like using it. Like if someone is releasing crappy products, that
Then
guy
they
will
would-
be penalized by the market just because he like offered crappy quality services.
Yeah, but there's a lot of
It hurts-
companies that do
it
that
hurts-
making stuff.
What?
Like, what if EA got a hold of all those characters?
Like what characters?
Dude, fucking a nice Mickey Mouse football game. I love it.
Dude, it would be awesome.
It's just nothing but Minnie Mouse's every character.
Dude, if you could pick Donald and Dingo on your fucking team, you're fucking set for life.
Dingo?
This sounds like a character that like I am not aware of.
I think
Maybe-
I'm.
you
It's
talking
like, isn't it Isn't Dingo the, or was it Bingo?
Are you talking about Pluto?
Fuck, it was Pluto.
Dingo Pluto.
Dingo.
The Roman god of death as well and riches, as well
Dingo.
as the planet or
And
the
Dingo
moon.
was his name.
And Dingo. That has to be like the funniest like mix up like Dingo. and
That
Pluto.
was just one of those mix-ups I don't know where it came from. Because he said Dingo because he was thinking bingo, but his name's not Bingo.
I'm probably like confusing another character.
No, I was going to say plus for you, I can make an exception with that type of mistake anyway, because,
Well, I don't know, you guys. In France, for example, we take homages very seriously. For example, when it comes to like
Homages.
homage. I don't know if you guys actually saw like there's one thing I'm pretty impressed with my country is how rich the comic scene is.
and
It's
all
not
those
like
fries.
well, too. That too. No, but seriously, like, have you seen like the comic called The Inkle, for example?
No.
Oh, you should check it out.
But it sounds like it's
awesome.
connected to my foot.
No, it's about a little black pyramid, and you gotta say or whatever. Just check it out.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
It's about a little black.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
all
if I just say child or something.
No, it's just a black
Child or dog?
They're the same, so oh, that's even terrible.
Oh,
Why did I
wow.
say-
I'm glad that it was the black guy that said that
Yes.
one. Speaking of which, I'm still really annoyed that it's freaking on the commercials for kids in Africa and animals in need that both of them play in the arms of an angel.
I mean,
For some reason, every time I see that, it throws me off.
there's only so many memorable
Is
Sarah
the-
McLachlan songs that you can put in.
Yeah,
I
those
have
are-
put the cover of the comic I was talking about. I think it's pretty good. Isn't it well known in America or?
No.
It's been remember, it was like successfully like translated in English.
It's still it'll probably be only for like a niche audience in America.
Yeah, probably. It wouldn't even surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also,
It's really interesting because like the comics in France are really about like it's always about social commentary, always, which is really weird compared to like I don't know, like would you say that the American comics are more like allegories than actual social commentary?
I
I think it
mean,
depends.
depends on who you talk to. I mean,
Yeah.
Like the superhero comics I'm talking about.
It really depends on the comic, the
yeah, because
artist,
there's
the writer.
America in general produces so many different SKUs of comics and stuff. If you want to talk about like newer like such as like Preacher or Fables or stuff like that, then as Fables, if you guys haven't heard that, that's a social commentary.
Fables is really good.
Yeah, because it's sort of like playing off of immigrants coming to New York, but it's at this fairy tales coming to live in New York and dealing with the social struggles of like trying to maintain like princes
Wolf
and
Among
princess.
Us.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys haven't played Wolf Among Us, play that.
Yeah,
Then
it's
you'll get the gist.
it's the sequel to Wolf Among Us. It's the comic that came out way before.
Yeah, that's socially and has social commentary in it because it's basically a comparison to like how immigrants when they came to America and stuff like that, and dealing with stuff along those lines. I want to say Preacher has a little bit of social commentary in it as well. But yeah, like and random Marvel SKUs have like racism or this or what that, but I couldn't pull out I couldn't name an issue because there's so many.
It really becomes a question of, I don't know about the French ones, if they're like written from the beginning as political or social justice or whatever, but a lot of the comics in America don't necessarily start that way, but they'll touch on those issues, but they're not written specifically for that, if that makes sense.
And a lot of times it really does depend on the writer because there can be like 36 different Batman series going on at once.
Mm-hmm.
And
plus,
one might be like, this is Batman kicking the crap out of everyone. One might be, this is Batman focusing on his life as also being a father and having a wife. Or this is Batman struggling with his childhood. Or this is it's like stuff like that.
Yeah, but you guys don't have like the real like. Have you seen like Charlie's Hebdo's like cartoons, for example?
Can you give me an example of some of them?
While he's doing that, I'm just gonna because it just depends on your society. I know French society is more aimed towards political and like social hierarchy, whereas America is like really like social problems, as in dealing with racism and
well, for now it's all about like Islamism.
yeah, racism such as
Let me find it going.
we don't nowadays we don't really have a elitism problem in America. It's just mostly racism and gender equality and all that stuff in America because like that's what you mostly see in comics from us is like either a racist piece or a gender equality
And
piece.
even that's what you see in our media a lot. Like like where I live, like I said before, I mean obviously I do live in a bit upper middle class area that's predominantly white, so there's not really any race issues. But even like areas where it's not, you don't really see many issues with those types of things. So whenever I see those in the news, it's not, especially for me as a white guy, it's not relatable at all. Because it's like, obviously there's people of, being oppressed for their color, their gender, their beliefs, their sexual orientation, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I never see any of that. And like people are even when I went to school, you were friends with whoever you're friends with. There weren't cliques, there weren't bullies, there weren't the jocks, people did whatever. People hung out with whomever. And apparently that was a strange thing from what I've heard from other people with their high school experiences.
Yeah, it just depends on because like I know some like people are sheltered from like what's really going on out there and stuff, and like aren't like haven't really witnessed it. So America has like a huge problem with that.
And then there's also other people that take it to the next level and make issues that aren't as big of a deal worse than they should be.
Yeah.
Like, there's times where fighting for equal rights goes to the point of, I'm no longer fighting for equal, I'm fighting for better than you.
Yeah, like feminism and feminazis out there that are like, no, we're better than men. Like, no, you guys have your flaws just like men do.
Well, that's when it becomes an issue, whenever it becomes
Black
one
Lives Matter or whatever.
Well, even that's like, I see the spiritual, like the message behind Black Lives Matter. It's not other lives don't matter, it's, hey, we matter too.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of hard to phrase. Like, I understand why it's like that because it's hard to phrase. Like, hey, like because you have to include Black people, so it's like Black Lives Matter. We're not saying that you guys don't matter. It's just that, hey, we've been having
it would
issues.
be a lot worse, or it would look worse. They're like Lives Matter, and then in parentheses that includes Black people.
No, don't worry. A Black person made the sign, so it's okay. No,
I have a friend who's Black, so it's all good.
I think you guys make way too much of a big deal about race. You know,
that's North American culture for you.
Well, and
It's
again,
just
I
that,
think
like,
it also
in
has to do
France,
with
we
the
don't
events.
do that.
For example, if you're a Black person being oppressed by a bunch of white people, I could see why you would make an issue about it.
I don't
It's just-
know. We cannot
it's-
ignore it. And
that's because you're
one
not
of
the
those
Black
kind of
person.
issues. No,
It's really easy when you're not the
we have
target.
much more problems with like Arab people here in France. It's like
So you
Arabs
have
are
race
the Black
issues as
people
well.
of America, basically.
Wait,
Like, they do not integrate well in our society. Do not.
well, no, black people integrate well. It's just there's racists.
There's like, well, you can't say they integrate perfectly into society either.
It depends where
Like
you are.
Mexicans or like.
Yeah, Ricardo
mean,
integrates just fine.
It
He's
depends
Mexican.
on like what you consider because integration means like you like I
Like, you find a job, you find a good house. That's integration, basically.
Yeah,
yeah that's considering like Black people have
Like,
integrated
you're not
well.
living in a ghetto is like fail. Like, living in a ghetto is pretty much. Well, could you say it's like?
my next door neighbor was Black. He just moved out because he got another house.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
plus the
That's
reason
a good
why
integration.
I am going to like answer the question why that is for most Black people in America is because they feel most safer around other people of their race, so that's why they stay in the because there's a whole social thing that like my friend explained to me of why like people that like I know people that are doctors make good money that live in like those areas because like they don't want to be looked at differently because they're in a good in a suburban neighborhood. They rather just stay to their own kind, and like there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not oppressing other people because of their difference. But like
Yeah, if you're happy somewhere, I say stay.
yeah.
It doesn't make you a less of a person if you live in a ghetto
Oh,
versus
for us,
a mansion.
Way worse. For us, it's basically it's not ghettos. It's called cité. Well, we have the ghettos, but that's because of the migrants. But that's like a whole new other can of worms.
Yeah, it just depends on what your like a turn of like what a ghetto is because like where I came from Brazil like is like ghettos in America in North America look like rich houses compared to over there because that's technically a third world environment. People shitting in like.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's
like so it just depends on like what your term of like improv is because like there's people that live in ghettos that afford like Lamborghinis and like sports cars and shit, so it's like it's hard to like sort of evaluate what
In the
is
state,
for.
I say in the
Just
States,
get
isn't the
blamed.
actual term of ghetto an area that's predominantly lower class, made up primarily of minorities? Isn't that where the actual terminology of ghetto comes from?
Ghetto comes from
I thought it was like a
something else,
secluded area
yeah,
from the
so-
rest of society.
Yeah, that's what a ghetto in its
Because I
traditional
remember
meaning
it being
is.
something.
I wouldn't say minorities are there because
No,
of
that
the
was
Polish
something that was
ghettos.
part of it. Because my other thing I got degree in besides history was sociology, so we had to study a lot of cultures and groups and race, ethnicity, blah blah blah.
Okay, see, there's something that I do not understand. It's people who like take a degree in sociology,
Sociology?
Yeah, even you have problems there.
Actually,
Yeah,
I almost
it's
coughed,
one of
but I
those
did
things. It's
mess
like
up after I did.
gender studies.
Yep,
How many
I-
fucking gender studies like majors do you freaking need in the country? You know what I mean?
You don't need them, not if that's not what you're necessarily going
Where?
into.
Like, I don't even understand how you need them in the first place. You know what I mean?
First, if you want to get a social, if you want
You
to
can
be
do
a,
that on the side, like with I don't know. You could be a programmer. You could be a
Unless
scientist.
you want that to be your job. Like if that's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I don't even see what kind of position you can have except in human resources.
And
some
also
companies,
where
but
my university, if you went with gender studies, then that you can only get a minor in that. Sociology as a whole is the major.
Okay, that's pretty nice. That's a good thing. But even sociology, like, is it economy too? Like,
No, it's more like psychology.
see, that's
See, psychology is the
why not
concept
going
if you're
psychology?
focusing it, because to me, psychology is a little too much, where it's like you're focusing on a single person's mind and you're saying because they're like this, then X, Y, and Z must be present. But then at the same time, because everybody disagrees in psychology, X, Y, Z are only one of a billion possibilities of variables that could make up the mind. Therefore, everything in psychology is bullcrap. Sociology is like, well, look at this group of people. This group of people act like that. Therefore, it must be like this. So it's a lot more of just using fallacy as opposed to this happens because of this, and then it being wrong because people don't follow a set program.
All I'm saying is that we need more mathematicians.
Have
you ever seen
a subjective way of looking at things?
Did you know that, like, I don't know how much is it in America, but in France, it's like zero, like the population of being like freaking good at math with like a math
Degree?
master degree, yeah. It's actually like under the 0.1%. It's incredible. It's incredibly
From
low.
that sentence, I believe you.
It's like so.
We have less than 0% of people here with a math
No,
degree.
0.1. It's not the same thing. 0% is going to be a
Yeah,
bit of a
less than
problem.
0%. There are people actually wiping their memories away.
Well, technically, that's what you do after school. Let's be honest. Which
like
really,
looking for Men in
I'm
Black,
studying
but just
math.
for
I
mathematics.
would rather kill myself than study math, to be honest. But I gotta study math for whatchamacallit, computer sciences.
Yeah, when I was finished with my math courses in college and stuff, I felt so good just to know I never had to take one again.
I was just glad when they
Fucking
got into the serious stuff. I hate algebra and all the beginning bullshit. Just
No, yeah, that's the part that sucks. Geometry and all that, trigonometry, those are fine. Algebra is the one that I sucked at.
yeah, I didn't suck at algebra. It's just that it's so remedial, so basic that it's
I
like,
sucked at algebra.
oh wow.
See, I loved algebra and math. I took like 6 math classes in high school. I used to sit there and just do random math problems in my book when I was bored and shit.
Wow.
But at the same time, give me something and tell me
That's
to write like a
commendable.
15-page essay on it, and I'll get it done in a couple hours.
See, I was like more in the idea when I was a kid that math required more work than the others, subjects at school.
You would
So
be
basically, my
sorely
idea was
mistaken.
let's neglect math completely in favor of the other
See-
subjects, which worked in school but did not work in university. That's why I'm repeating to you.
As someone who has a double major in 2 different fields such as computer science and art history, they're totally 2 different. Like it's like totally like 2 different. Like art history and art in general is hard in its own right, such as math and science is hard in its own right.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a different way of thinking.
There's some things that are way more intuitive. For example, in the history or like in history, if they kill your wife, there might be some reprisals. Let's just theorize that kind
But
of
the
point of view.
concept with that is also it has to go with your way of thinking. Like I'm not a math person, so I'm not going to be good at the math classes. And apparently that's where a lot of your weaknesses are as well. But there's a lot of people I know that are stupid good at math and they can't, like English is not good for them or whatever, I guess for you
Yeah.
French.
Like me, because it just, in school for some reason, math always made sense because there is a right answer. You know, there's 2 + 2 will always be 4. Whereas in
Well, that's
English,
basic math. I'm talking about like algebra.
okay, but
advanced math,
math
or-
is math. You know, I'm taking
Yeah,
it
but
to
there
a
are
basic
times
level,
where they
but-
say, like with math, that it can be disproven if certain theory is resolved.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, but that's getting into higher maths and everything. And
Yeah, that's
I agree with you, but I'm saying in school it always made sense because there was always a direct answer. Whereas English, you know, writing an essay and stuff like that is very subjective. So
Not really. Most English teachers usually grade on sentence structure. If it has a what am I thinking? Cohesive story.
I mean,
Depending on what you're
languages are
writing.
easy. You just, if you learn, like, seriously, if you learn perfectly at least 2 languages,
Okay,
every
well,
language start becoming very, very similar to each other.
my apologies. Maybe my terminology was wrong. When I say English, I'm talking literature
English course.
and this.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
it was
we
like
refer to
actually.
those, like the stuff of like literature, reading, all of that comes together in a class that we refer to as English.
Oh,
Because
Forgive
generally,
me,
by the
but-
time we're in school, most of us already know how to talk. We're, you know.
Yeah. So when you're studying,
I was
English,
wondering, you know.
you're studying like Chaucer and his influences and what he's brought to society, and that type of stuff is all subjective. You read a book and it's going to be a completely different experience than when I read a book.
Then again, how is someone going to grade you? Tell you you're wrong. Like if
That
I
is
want
where the
Robert
issue can
Frost
happen.
to be it's a story to be all about bullshit, that's how I took it down.
Well, see, that was an issue I had with some of those courses. Stuff like I didn't take a creative writing class because I like writing. I like writing stories. I like whatever. But I didn't take a creative writing course because I heard a lot of the professors that teach that, regardless of the fact it's creative writing, are very subjective.
Yeah.
So it's like it's creative writing, but you got to write what they want. So well, it's not okay.
That's a bit counterintuitive, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, like I liked to write a lot too, and I liked having boundaries where I had to, to use my imagination to try to just find loopholes and
And
try
that's
to get
probably
it.
why I don't like math because, like you said, math has an answer that's exact. I can't write forever and just kind of make my own story with it. I have to find the right answer. Like I have to find the one answer.
True.
If I'm off by 0.01 or less than 0.01, such as their math majors, I'm lost. I'm lost. I failed. But if I wrote something and I'm like, you missed a comma, they'll be like, oh, comma, put a little red line there, and ta-da, you're still fine. You got an A. You didn't miss the entire problem. You didn't fail the entire essay because you forgot a period.
Yeah.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yanni, would you when I studied like a computer language? Did you think I'm studying math for computer sciences, and I want to be coding later, you know what I mean, in life, and that's what my course offers me. Would you say that like programming is like as far, what is closer to programming, learning a new language or actually doing math, in your opinion?
When you get into coding yourself, it's more closer to like doing an art project because what coding to me is like you're creating something from because my teachers judge me on the scale of like actually creating your own code and so I would actually consider it like more as a writing skills and like memory,
Exactly.
comprehension, because memorization, comprehension, being able to regurgitate what you learned and be able to like remix and freestyle it to your own way. Because at the end, I'm not sure how classes work over there, but at the end of the year, you have to create your own program or
That's
write
exactly
your own
it.
script. So
See, I don't understand why they pair it so closely with math. Like, basic math, of course, is necessary. Don't get me wrong. But
People like
in
to
our
pair
courses,
everything with math.
they're like super close together.
Well, I mean, scripting is problem solving in a way. When someone says, "Hey, make this guy shoot Hadoukens," you have to figure out, or like sometimes they'll like what they'll do later on is be like, "Why does this not work?" They'll show you like a paragraph of code. Why doesn't this work? Why doesn't he walk properly? Why doesn't this happen? Why
But that sounds again more like English. It's like
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
misspelled?
it's grammar.
Yeah.
I think as someone from the outsider's point of view of a programmer or whatever, I think it's kind of the marriage of both because you're taking all right, math has exact answers. So does programming. If you want someone to shoot a bullet, there's an exact code you can write to have that person shoot a bullet. But at the same time, you're taking those bits and pieces of math to create a whole new thing, to create a whole new package. And that's where in the artistic side comes in. And
plus, then you also pick the speed of said bullet,
right,
amount of damage, and that's one of our other stuff, like your creativity, your English, your etc. starts coming into play with it. I mean, it's a kind of like art.
Well,
it's the concept of. Oh, go ahead.
The thing is, like, that's more physics. That's more about physics and
physics is math though.
Well,
there's science.
I'm surprised how
science
different physics and math are. Basically, physics, you use look, in math you prove that the tools you are using are true, but in physics you're just using the tools, which is significantly way easier, to be honest. You see what I mean? So basically, math requires understanding and critical thinking, but physics is just applying. You know what I mean? And there is critical thinking, but
so
it's like,
then,
how would you design a hammer? That's like basically math, and like physics is just using whatever could be used as a hammer to fit the job.
I would almost argue that by your definition of physics per se, the study of physics, I would put under the same category as programming, because you're using the tools that were, the language that was built through math, through definite things, but using that tool to create something different.
Also using his definition,
I think I'm way too
writing
tired
a
to
sentence
actually
would
think
also
about this.
be physics.
Yeah,
The thing is, like, there's more than one way to like shoot a gun from a bullet, like programming wise.
Yes,
Gun
but
shoot out of bullets.
Which is a bit weird, but like in physics, there's like only one theorem in general. There's like multiple of them, but like not many compared to how you can shoot a bullet. It's like, well,
I don't know. Depending on what field of gaming you want to do, physics is a key role to like get the concept and understand how to. But
but like
if you're a coder, you don't have to worry about physics. Really, it's just like you just have to know what to do to make said object do what it needs to do.
yeah, you can just like invent on the fly the coding, or like take a glance on like some physical equations.
I guess in that sense, it's kind of like just a quick mental thought of physics. Like, if this falls, then what happens?
Well, yeah, it shouldn't be completely realistic. Yeah, you cannot like simulate even like 1 meter. Like I heard that you can't even like with these supercomputers in Dubai or like China, you can't even like simulate 1 meter square of like atmosphere in our on Earth. Like atom wise, what each atom is doing, what is like, you know what I mean? It's
Oh yeah,
impossible. Which is
possible, but it's definitely not probable as of yet.
I mean, it would be really awesome because that means that we could simulate a world like that. Like we could simulate like a 1 square meter cube of oxygen.
Hey, then you could have your holodeck.
It would be awesome. No,
And I would never leave it.
The 1 meter squared holodeck.
Think of what all you could do with that.
You do a lot.
Not much. Thing is, like, wait, what will you do with the simulated zone? Because it doesn't actually makes you go inside the zone. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Well, it actually simulates what does the atom in the square meter.
You'll make the greatest porno of all time. That's what you'll do.
That's still no. Okay, whatever. I give up.
just give up on life.
I am just super tired right now. It's like 4:43 a.m.
Holy shit! And
yeah, what time is it for you guys?
It's like
10:45.
Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock, and
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's almost 10 my time.
yeah.
I feel like I've been screwed over here from this partnership.
Well, I mean,
I'm just a guest.
I mean, just get better
you're
at time
innocent.
zones.
It's fine.
Just,
Okay.
just get better at time zones. But anyway, with that being said, I am going to end off this podcast. This was a very random, just shooting the shit for this episode. Not much came out game-wise. I mean, the PlayStation 4 Pro came out. We gave our little brief discussion about, like, the specs and all that shit.
Except that was in the part that we lost, so we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about that next week after TGS, and we'll talk about the trailers and shit that came out then. So until then, everybody, see you guys later. Peace.
Also,
What?
mail us who was right in every argument we just had, and you'll get a candy.
That's buying.
Deny.
That's fine. And you was it specific about who would get the candy if they choose who was right? It's just basically.
It's candy with an eye. Okay, it can be anything.
Oh, hey.
I could go for.
No,
candy
it's just a
with an eye.
stripper.
Is she a jank stripper or is she a legit stripper? Like
It can also
top
be a
notch?
terrible toy from like a gas station, so you never know.
Oh, that sucks. But anyway, see you guys later.
Bye.
Later.